Thanks for joining us for another tabletop video on GBGuns. What you're looking at here is the Shiled EZ. This thing has won multiple awards, and for good reason. I absolutely love this thing. As you may recall, I first demonstrated that you can rack it with your finger. You've got loading tabs for your mag, even though it's a 380, and it's got the ample size and grip to make it comfortable even for my large hands, but it's in 380. I mean, really, what more could you ask for as far as a great shooting 380? Awesome pistol, loads of fun on the range, great for those who are new to shooting, great for those with limited hand strength, or just looking to have a good time. It's a great gun. There's plenty of 380 defensive loads out there that have made it adequate for defensive shooting. How could it get any better? Well, Smith & Wesson asked the same question. We've got the performance center version of the Shiled EZ coming up next on GBGuns. So the box is longer than normal for such a small gun, and that's because you get a little bit extra in here. Start things off, of course, with our paperwork to take a look. We've got our standard tricolor manual with nice clear photos and explaining things step by step. Good job there, considering that this might be someone's first firearm, or maybe they just were poorly educated about things in the past. So, paperwork out of the way. We have the gun, which comes in this nice blue protective bag with a chamber flag. That's handy at ranges that require those. Also lets you know when you're pulling an unknown gun out of the box that it's clear. Inside here we have our obligatory cable lock and a second magazine. Notice, I love this loader feature. Just slides down to assist and make loading the magazine a little bit easier. And then in here we have this very nicely labeled and contained Performance Center cleaning kit. Look at that. Pretty much everything you'd need, even beyond this caliber of 380. A general purpose cleaning kit with a nice short rod for small handguns like this. You got the pick, you've got the brush, some swabs and jag. Very cool of them to include that. Nice little extra dummy. Let's get that stuff out of the way and take a look at this gun. So these are available in a couple different colors. This gold, a silver, or a plain black. Got fiber optic sights on here. Let's check for clear. Once again, I can do that with my finger because this is an EZ. Magazine actually ejects, kicks it out. Love these things. Alright, so we know we're clear. We also have a loaded chamber indicator there that would have popped up had they been a round in, but of course it's always good to just take a look inside. Let's start off with our standard look around the gun. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here for you. Starting up front, look at our slide frame fit. We have a little bit of vertical play, a little bit of side-to-side play. Notice that the barrel is slightly extended versus the regular, and that's because it's ported. Straight up at the very end of the barrel, hopefully all the flash is gone by then, so we don't end up toasting this fiber optic front sight or distracting ourselves while shooting. But curious to see how flat that makes it. I think when we get out to the range, we'll do some slow motion comparison of this versus the regular of myself and at least Matty AR, possibly Burgundy Bomber, to see how the recoil differs between the two. I have the scallops up here for the press check, although as brilliantly pointed out by Mr. Guns and Gear, if you do this quickly, the swell that's on the frame here, see how it gets wider right there, bumps your fingers off of it. So that's kind of a point of criticism. However, thanks to these nice lightning cuts in the slide, you can grab that just fine and have plenty of traction to be able to check. Underneath, we've got rail space for adding a light or a laser. No stippling on the front of the trigger guard because, well, it's American to not grab up there. I know it's a big European thing. Our trigger, cool, flat-faced, very broad trigger. My hands are large. I reach up to right here, and obviously I can overextend my finger quite easily and end up pulling with the knuckle. So those with smaller hands might find this length of pull from here to the trigger a little more appropriate, but that doesn't mean that this is bad. Let's see what that trigger feels like while we're at it. We come back to a wall, crisp break, reset. Not bad. Feels pretty smooth. Notice we have room here for knuckle for larger hands like myself, and a little bit of kick out here and this tail here, which helps keep your fingers hand out of the way for magazine insertion. I could still possibly pinch my pinky. That happens on guns all the way up to and including the Glock 19 for me, so I just have to open up my hand like that when I do mag changes. The tail I like as something to index against when shoving in the magazine. It also helps prevent your hand from dragging on the magazine and preventing it from kicking out. Got some nice texturing, not as aggressive as the 2.0, but more aggressive than the originals. Our magazine release sticks out a little bit. I don't think there's a risk of bumping that while firing. We'll have to see. Slide stop swells up from the bottom, but also sticks out from the top, so it can work easily as a slide release if you want. We do have ambidextrous external safety on these. I know some people don't like those. I haven't had a problem with them. In fact, they can even be a good spot to rest the thumb when shooting as kind of a gas pedal, and that also makes sure that it's not going to be bumped during firing. Coming around the backside, we have some vertical serrations on this grip safety. Grip safety appears to be sticking out a little bit further than it did on the original. I know a lot of people complain about grip safeties. I don't understand what the complaint is. If you're gripping the gun, it's there. And if you're not gripping enough, the gun doesn't fire. It's a good thing. Have a proper grip, pistol fires. So I really don't understand the complaint. Is it a bit of an eyesore? Possibly, but do you see that when you're shooting? I don't. So who cares? Coming around the backside, slide to frame fit. We still have that side to side, but and a little bit of vertical wiggle. There's our sight picture. Nice and bright fiber optics. I know Matty AR will be excited about those. And notice they're shielded all the way around, but they also have windows to let light in from top and both sides, which is excellent. Fiber optic sights are great when you've got moderate to low light. You don't always know where that light's coming from, so it's nice to have 3 different possible points of entry for the light. On the right side of the gun, we have our external safety. We don't have any other controls on this side here. Pretty good looking. The gold might be a bit bright. Maybe silver is more your taste. I don't know, but really for photography, the gold contrasts better, and that's why I went with the gold, since you guys are watching a video. Next, we'll field strip this thing and take a look inside the gun. So disassembly is very familiar to those who know the Smith & Wessons. We're going to lock the slide to the rear, rotate this pin down, and ease the slide forward. And there you have it. Looking inside, we can see that that metal trigger is coated all the way through. And these coatings, by the way, aside from just looking good, also reduce lubricity quite a bit, which is nice. We can see our hammer. Yes, this is a hammer-fired gun. Nice broad ejector. We have a plastic guide rod with a round recoil spring. That's a little surprising since steel guide rods and flat coil springs are sort of the norm these days, but considering how well the regular model ran for us, I'm not going to complain or question that at all. Get our barrel out. This is a snug fit. There we go. There's our nicely coated barrel. I gotta say, it's not as slick as some other coatings that I've experienced in the past. We can tell easily that it's full chamber support without even dropping around in because of the way it's squared off there. But that nice little port up there, the way that's going to work is to compensate. So as the gases are pushing your bullet out, as the bullet gets to the end, gases are momentarily going to jet upwards, pushing down, and that's going to help reduce muzzle flip. Look inside our slide. Nice and clean. I don't see any machining marks. See if I can activate our loaded chamber indicator. We don't have any red paint on the loaded chamber indicator. There's a little spot where it could go on there, but that's something that you can easily do yourself if you want. Internal extractor. Some people criticize those from the yesteryear problems. I have yet to experience a problem with one on a modern pistol, so I'm not too worried about that. Everything is nice and simple and clean. When we get this out to the range, we will of course do our what's for dinner test, which is running the widest variety of ammunition that I can find. Got a little bit of stick in there. All right, so the trick was to make sure that here's your grip safety. See that lever activating? You don't want pressure on that. That's going to get in the way and bind. So hand off of the trigger safety, or the grip safety rather. Bring the slide to the rear and lock it in place. Drop that, and we should be back in action. Yep. And we are. Anyways, so what's for dinner test? We run the widest variety of ammunition types and loads that I can get my hands on. We'll also, of course, do some groupings to see how accurately we can shoot this thing. And I'm really looking forward to the slow motion to see how that little port there, that compensation, is going to affect things. So that is the Performance Center Shiled EZ in 380. We'll see you on the range. Thanks for watching.